Hi everybody, my name is Hannah and this is Pepper and Pine, and I have a geometry lesson to share with you today. We're working through our geometry main lesson block. This is by Live Education and this is a Waldorf curriculum. Today we're going to be working on pie charts and bar graphs, and instead of using the data that's provided in this lesson, we're going to be using data that complements our botany lesson. So this is the bar chart that we worked on previously with the data that my daughter has done some research on. She has collected data on the different variations of trees in the state of California. Now, we were specifically studying conifers recently in our botany lesson, and so that is what this pie chart is going to depict, and it's the different variations of conifers and other trees within the state of California. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw a circle into my main lesson book. These main lesson books are 9.5 inches by 12.5 inches, and they just have blank pages. Now I'm doing a little bit of math in order to figure out the different angles that we need depending on the percentages of these different types of trees. And this is part of the lesson as well. So we're not just doing the research to find out the data, we're also going to be doing all of the math to figure out how to construct all of these angles. Now we have some larger categories that I have labeled on the outside of the circle, and then we have those categories within those larger categories, and so we're having to do a lot of math to figure out all of these different angles. So the entire circle is 360 degrees, and we're doing percents, so that's 100%. So we have our comparison of 100% equaling 360 degrees, and then we can start to break down our different percentiles in order to get the different angles. So you will also need a protractor for this lesson in order to figure out how to construct those different angles. I did have to erase and start again because as I was copying my daughter's data that she wrote up on the dry erase board, I misread 2 of the data points, and so it wasn't actually working out properly. And so when I figured out the mistake, I was able to do this part again pretty quickly. But if you'd like to see the data that we used, it is on the blog post that accompanies this video, and you can find that link down in the description box below. You can find more pictures and tutorials and videos all on that blog post, as well as the data that we use, which you could use any kind of data that you'd like, but it worked out really well for us to find data that was going to work with another main lesson that we were doing. We don't typically do 2 main lessons at the same time, but we are making up for some work that we did not complete in our previous year, so that's why we're doing that now. But it worked out in our favor because now the data that we're using for this geometry lesson is really relevant for our botany lesson as well. So I'm doing this lesson in advance of having my daughter draw this out. She's going to be doing the same lesson. I have constructed the entire thing so that she can then copy it and have like a visual of what she's working towards. However, she is going to be doing all of the math all over again independently, but I have worked it out first so that as she works through it, she can check her results against this diagram. But part of the lesson is also for her to work out the math, to first discover the data, first do the research to figure that part out, but then secondly, to do the proportion math in order to figure out the different angles, and of course use the protractor and the compass in order to construct this entire pie chart. Once this part was completed, I used a color pencil in order to color in the larger portions of the data so that at a glance it's easy to see these different categories, and then within these different colored sections, then you can see the smaller angles, and each of those are labeled with the data that we have. Either it's the type of tree or it's a mixture of trees together. I hope that you enjoyed this lesson. If you'd like to see the data that we use as well as other photos and information about the Waldorf Geometry main lesson block, you can find that link down in the description box below. It will take you to the blog post that has all of the details. And if you'd like to see how we're homeschooling on a daily basis, you can find me on Instagram and now on TikTok at Pepper and Pine.